What's up, guys? Trades video here. Fortunately, the news that a lot of us probably don't want to hear is a little bit more boring. There's no trades going on in the two squads. There's two left for the Peoples. There's one left for myself. And I think with 4 weeks to go, really what you should be doing personally if you have the one trade remaining like myself is that I think you can go on an all-in launch from next week, because that basically means that you would have just 2 rounds to get through with any potential injuries or suspensions. You could also, get to that next week with 3 to go. And, let's just say there's a trade that you're looking at that might be on a Saturday, 5:30 p.m. game. So you've got sort of half of the games done, and that trade, might be a guy on a buy that you're looking at as a potential trade out, or a guy that, you just is playing in a later week and you want to move them on for someone playing in that second part of the week. And you can wait and see if any injuries or suspensions or anything happens in that first 3 or 4 games, and then you can make that decision on that last trade. But I think using that one left right now, unless it was a necessary one through an injury or suspension, you do need cover in your 17. Just say Robson was your hooker and you do need a hooker this week, then I would completely understand making that trade. But myself there with the 71 in the bank, I think I can wait 1 more week. We got through unscathed last week, and it's unlikely that happens 2 weeks in a row. If it does, then great. Maybe we can use a luxury trade either in that next week, or we do it in the week after or something like that. I doubt we wait all the way through until the last round, but we'll see how we go, because I don't have any Broncos players personally, and maybe the Murray weekend, Rabbitohs could be the one, and obviously the Eels having 3, when Hands to me doesn't count as a player right now, neither does Jesse Colquhoun. So just getting through each week, trying to have a solid 17 on the park is my goal with my squad right now. And in the people squad, we're actually in a much better situation there. How we can play this one right now is have our very much the same as my squad. I'm going to loop Garrick in this first game. So given they play against the Panthers, what you can do here, guys, is if you're still holding on to Drinkwater like I am we are in both the sides. In my side there, for example, we've got Garrick in the number 6 position. So what happens there with that one, if I want to, if Garrick goes really poorly, let's say he gets to 23, and we're like, okay, we're going to risk Tafade up against the Roosters and think he can score better than that. So we'll basically just switch Tafade back in with Drinkwater, which is really, really cool. So we get a double chance at the loop here. Val will come straight in for Drinkwater, and then we can use Drinky as a looper with Colquhoun, for example, there. If one of these other guys, we can just slot there like an Isaiah Papali'i, and if he gets concussed or something like that in the first few minutes, then we could play Jesse, or we can play someone else there in that one. Or we can make our trade, like if we wanted to do that as well. It's definitely an option that we could do. Trading out like a Brendan Hands and bring in, if we get an injury to a wing fullback, then we could slot Brendan Hands into like a Jacob Kiraz, something like that. So there's definitely plenty of options. There's something you need to think about as well with your own side, just with your setup. And at least that one with Drinky, with having the bye, is he doesn't lock to the last game, and you could move things around if Garrick has a bit of a shocker. You could change things around, as I said, which is really, really cool. And in our people squad, a much better situation with Dan Russell along in our emergency 5. So we'll see how we go with Garrick. And with that one, we have Harrison Graham as well, who we can use as a looper. So we'll muck around with that one. I think Dolphins play a little bit earlier in the week, if I'm not mistaken. They play... When are they? No, I lie. They're the last game on Saturday. So that's good. That means we can have some more time to make our decisions on what we do with Russell, Harris, these type of players there. So Tohu Harris plays the game before. With the Warriors in the Dragons play an earlier game as well. So we can keep Russell in that 5 position. And then if he goes well, we just pop Harrison Graham into the looper spot and make our decision as to what we want to do with any of our guys. And likely from this list that it would be like Tohu Harris or Preston that would make way if Russell was to get a 57 again, for example. But all of those guys up there could definitely do that job as well. But it's just something to note for sure as to how you look at things, and you're trying to get as many points each week as possible. And looping, as we know with my squad last year, especially at the start, we're finding this new way of doing things. The 21-man squad they've had over the last bunch of years is learning how to loop well is it can be very important. It's something that it's not too difficult to set up. Once you learn it, it seems fairly easy. But I know, like, learning it over the last few years myself to do it properly, has really set us apart in making good looping decisions this year. And it's something that I know there was a few people following our people squad, and because we weren't in there making good looping decisions, just because we weren't following the team as much across the weekend, that we probably cost ourselves like a few hundred ranks and stuff like that just from making those correct decisions. 40 points here, 10 points, or 20 points here really makes a lot of difference. So that's the big thing right now, is because we have a couple of guys out, usually whether it's a guy on bye or a guy not playing that's still in our squad, that you can make these decisions here. But overall, in our people squad, we're not missing a lot of gun players. Like, you look here at the potential options, and they're all mids, and we have a really strong mid section in Haas, Hopgood, and Murray, obviously, with Tohu Harris as our fourth. Preston is our extra edge as well. So overall, we're in a good position. We have the best captaincy option. We have Johnson, we have Hines, we have Harry Grant. Wing fullback's obviously a little bit lighter with Kiraz instead of like a Latrell, but I think Jacob can do pretty well on that front. If you're looking at my side there, I have Horsburgh instead of Payne Haas in that position. Obviously sitting with Fafita and Bateman, which is cool. And we have Fafita in our people squad as well. Sitting there with Max King in our 17, not super amazing. Penasini over like a Dane Gaga or something like that, but we have Teddy as one of the best options in the wing fullback, which you'd say is slightly ahead of Kiraz at this point. And probably missing one top gun mid. If we can add them onto the bench instead of Papali'i, having like a Frizzell, an Isaiah Yeo, a Payne Haas. And that's all the things that if you were a really top team, like a top 30 team, then you'd have that little bit extra bank that I would have been able to grab one of those guys instead of a King or of an iPad or something like that. But overall, that's where our two teams are at. 70th for my squad, 1,080 for the People's. I think that both teams should be able to do solidly and hopefully make some ranks here. Obviously, tonight is the big one for myself with DCE. Obviously, Garrick are there looping, but we do want him to go well. We'd rather him get a 60-odd and get an easy loop there rather than having to try and play balance. Like, that's just a backup option, basically, for us. So let's hope that the Manly boys can put up a bit of a fight at home, and we all have a cracking, enjoyable evening with Cleary going well, obviously, but the Panthers, if they do rest a few players as well, I think that's going to help. Sounds like there's a couple of injuries. Mitch Kenny's going to be out. Jerome Luai is going to be out. So I think that hurts them a little bit, obviously, and hopefully it's a closer game for my Manly boys. But that's that video, guys. Thank you for being along for the ride and enjoying my discussions around trades, around looping, and all the rest there. See you later.